back in 1999, in my capacity as Working Party Organiser of the Manchester, Bolton and Bury Canal Society, I obtained permission from British Waterways, the canal's then owners, to start working parties on the neglected Salford section of the canal near Agecroft Road. This section had not been used by boats since the 1940s and was very overgrown with floating weed and rubbish. Initially, small working parties concentrated on clearing the towpath of overgrown vegetation and brambles. We soon noticed an increase of walkers along the towpath, proving our hard work was all worthwhile. Attention now turned to removing rubbish and floating weed from the canal itself. We used long-handled kebs and grappling irons attached to long ropes to help with this arduous task. Salford Anglers Club came on board and started helping with rubbish removal along this neglected section. In some instances, grappling irons and ropes were used to manually drag islands of floating weed down the canal to Agecroft Road. And using kebs, we manually removed it and we put it on a big weed pile that we created a short distance from the towpath. After 6 months hard work, this short section of canal was transformed into a navigable canal for small craft, dinghies and canoes, and for anglers and walkers to enjoy once more. To celebrate our achievement, I got Manchester, Bolton and Bury Canal Society committee members to back me, so I organised a small boat rally on this section of the canal near Agecroft Road. And this occurred on Sunday, the 23rd of May 1999, and visiting craft from all over the northwest attended and launched small boats from the towpath beside Agecroft Road Bridge. John Lower even brought his bright orange fiberglass Microplus cruiser from Chesterfield to attend. Ironically, it was this boat that got me interested in the quirky Microplus cruisers, and years later I now actually own one of these craft. It's not orange, but it's blue, and I'm presently moored on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal near Burnley. The rally was a great success and achieved much media interest in the canal's restoration, and each person who attended with a small boat received a limited edition small brass oval plaque to prove that they boated along this length of canal. Victor Steele filmed the rally that day, and I would personally like to thank him for giving us his permission to use this footage in our canal documentary. And if you've not already guessed, if you look at the start of this short video, you'll notice a tall chap wearing a boiler suit and a hard hat. And this gentleman was pulling weed out of the canal whilst the rally was taking place. If you meant to guess, that young chap were me, and I still miss those days and working on that short length of canal. It's just a shame, because I believe since that rally back in 1999 there's been no more rallies or boat movement on the whole canal, which is tragic after gaining such momentum. Not far from the site of the boat rally, beside Agecroft Road Canal Bridge in Salford, was the original Agecroft Colliery site. And this was owned by Andrew Knowles and Sons and was sunk in 1844. 2 new shafts were commenced in 1894 to reach the Trenchybone mine at a depth of just over 700 yards. This development became known as the New Winnings, and production was gradually concentrated here, allowing the old shafts to decline. Work on the new Agecroft colliery started in July 1953 and was substantially complete by December 1960. The colliery originally employed about 1,850 workmen, 1,500 of them underground. The main landmarks of the colliery were the reinforced concrete winding towers of numbers 4 and 5 shafts, which were about 200 feet high. However, the colliery closed in 1990 and the towers were demolished not long after. The Agecroft Lane Bridge, number 26, dates from 1990, when it replaced the girder bridge dating from the 1930s, which had itself replaced the original arch. Persuading Salford Corporation to provide full navigable headroom at the new bridge was an early success for the Manchester, Bolton and Bury Canal Society. Beyond Agecroft Lane Bridge, on the offside, is Mayfield Kennels. Hereabouts, but about 34 feet below the towing path, is an old cattle creep, and that was bridge number 27. Beyond the stop plank grooves, the canal widens into a winding hole. It was at this point that box boats, being 68 foot long, could be turned round if needed to return back on themselves towards Salford and Oldfield Road. The skyline hereabouts was formerly dominated by the chimneys and cooling towers of Agecroft Power Station. This was originally built by Salford Corporation in the mid-1920s, but extended in the 1940s and again in the late 50s when the original power station was closed. The canal narrows to form another stockgate, and hereabouts you can find an interesting sluice arrangement. 2 grooves are cut into the canal walls either side of the left paddle, and one on the opposite wall. Stop planks could be inserted to drain the canal for maintenance in either direction, depending on which grooves were used. The Bolton to Manchester railway line runs parallel to the canal around here, but on an embankment and at an higher level. Just after the Manchester 3.5 milestone, the water is dammed off, and this was the end point of the rally. Sadly, this is a little bit very overgrown, so boats never quite reached here, which is a shame. The small Lums or Quays or Clifton Hall Aqueduct, number 28, has been demolished and a pipe laid across the gap. You can leave towpath here and walk up opposite side where aqueduct used to be, and there's some really nice old stone slab boundary walling which were a prominent feature on this canal. Just beyond the demolished Lums Lane Aqueduct, evidence of the vast tonnage of coal traffic can be found in the derelict and overgrown loading dock situated near the closed Clifton Hall Colliery. Originally, Clifton Hall Colliery was owned by Benjamin Gaskell. In 1814, the pit was leased to Andrew Knowles, but by 1838 it became known as Lums Pit. The colliery's tragic claim to fame came with a devastating explosion on the 18th of June 1886, which claimed the lives of 178 men and boys. The canal here has been dry since World War II, when the Minister of Transport ordered the draining of this section in case a bomb should cause serious flooding of the valley. The water was never put back and remains dry to this day.